It's been a while. We haven't done a podcast in a long time, since what, August or something?
Probably further than that.
Yeah.
Let's see, I put on 10 pounds, so what's that? 3 months?
10 pounds in 3 months?
Yeah.
All right. We normally just start by jumping in conversation, but I guess we can give a little introduction.
Yeah, this is good because I've never met you guys, and I have no clue. So,
Matt, your name is Matt, obviously.
My
right?
name is Matt. True.
Tell us a little bit about you.
A little bit. Born and raised in Charlotte. So born and raised here. I work in TV and film. Currently a project manager at a manufacturing company, just overseeing their photo and video projects.
do you guys work together?
Sometimes.
Yeah. When I freelance, yeah.
Like-
Didn't you win a award for producing or something?
Won a few Telly Awards.
For
Directing and producing.
I mean, like, was it a short film or?
One was, they were all product related videos, so promotional and brand videos.
So not that important.
No, not that
So
important
like
at all. Do what?
Like commercials?
No, just like social media content.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's still pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it was cool.
All right, so Matt, and then we have
I'm Kevin.
Kevin.
I'm a editorial photographer, freelance photographer.
What do you
work with Matt a lot?
What do you prefer to go by?
Hoop.
Hoop. Okay. Hoop.
H-O-O-P.
Like Hooper.
Is, I guess, like a nickname. I don't know. I don't know what the best.
Can you
thing
hoop?
I don't know what the best thing to go by is.
Can you hoop? Because they can't see on the cameras, but you're legit 6'5", 6'6".
I wouldn't say I can't hoop, but
Wait.
it's not my thing, you know.
Yeah,
So
but
you used to play basketball?
That'd be a stretch to say. I've played on some basketball teams.
You would be a
for sure.
stretch.
No, but I mean, you'd be. I mean, I'm my physical shape is way different than how I grew up.
I don't think you can go wrong. I think if I get you on the court, I can get you about 10 points, 2 assists, at least 4 rebounds.
Sometimes, like, on pickup basketball, all it takes is just, like, height sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've definitely played. It's just, you know, if I was like, oh, yeah, I played that.
Okay, I think we got a
Actually,
fifth then.
legit, you know,
We got a
A
fifth.
fifth?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get him on 2K too.
All right. So we have you here because there's a specific topic you want to talk about. But you got
that I was willing to talk about. Okay. Tell us about
how you think gay people don't exist.
Wow. So that's how we're starting this.
Wait, what?
Okay, so I my philosophy, I was born and raised Christian home, private schools, church. So I come from a background where homosexuality is wrong. Like, right? Like, that's how I grew up. However, I would say different from a lot of Christians. I now have, currently, I have the view that sexual identities, sexual orientations as identities are just relative. So you could say they don't exist objectively. Like, you can't, I don't believe you can be gay. I don't think you can be straight. So that's like kind of my foundation.
Wait a second, because you explained this to me before. And I don't remember exactly what you said, but I remember thinking, yeah, that actually makes sense.
It does kind of make sense when you think about it. I don't think anybody ever put
I'm
it in
not
that.
endorsing him. I'm just saying. Like, I remember not thinking it was crazy.
So, like, the way you explained it to me, it makes sense. It's like I've never had it put in that context before.
Yeah.
And I understood it. I wouldn't say 100% agree with everything you're saying, but, like, it does make sense if people think of it this way, because you talk about how, like, identifying as gay, bisexual, straight, or whatever is kind of essentially talking about your sexuality.
Yes. Well,
Like
here's a good example. So, Cairo, if I ask you, what makes you gay? Like, what makes someone gay? What would you say? Like, what's your definition?
I guess if you like the same sex as yourself. Like if you're a guy and you like other guys.
Okay, what about you, Trell?
I would say same thing.
Same thing. Okay, so now what if there's a lot of people that fall into this category or example I'm about to give you? Say there's a person here who says I'm attracted to the same sex, but I'm not gay. By y'all's definition, your definition, you would say that guy's gay.
Yeah.
But this guy's like, no, I'm not gay. It's just something I struggle with. Like it's not something I've ever acted on. It's not something.
That's called denial, though.
Is it?
It is what it is.
Is it
So
denial?
like if someone wants to do, say, participate in a drug activity, but they haven't, does that make them
a drug addict?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Because they haven't acted on it or participated in it.
Right.
So at the end of the day, if you ask, some people may define, say you're homosexual if you participate in homosexual acts. Some people may say, well, you're homosexual if you're attracted to the same sex. Well, what about say you were experimental in college and you participated in one or two acts? Are you now a lesbian or a gay man just because you participated in an action, right? So when you ask 10 different people, you'll usually get 8 to 10 different answers. But what we can all agree on, typically, is what is a gay action and what is a gay thought. There's no really disagreement with those two things.
It's important to say too that everything he's saying here also applies to heterosexual people.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's actually really important to point out because there's so many like social safety wires attached to this topic, like it's hard to talk about it. So it's
exactly. So another way to say would be, I don't think you can be gay. I think you can do gay and think gay. I don't think you can be straight. I think you can do straight or think straight.
So you can say that you're heterosexual. You married, have kids, never done anything in your entire life gay. You've never done gay. But around 28, you're married, have kids, right? And you decide you want to have sex with like 15 different guys. But you're not attracted to them. You just want to try it. And then you come back to your wife. Is that still heterosexual?
I would say you're a person who participated in gay sex.
Okay, so you're not saying that he's a heterosexual guy.
No, because I don't think you can be heterosexual or homosexual.
You just do heterosexual. You do gay. You
think gay. You think straight. There are straight thoughts, straight actions, gay thoughts, gay actions. It's not an identity. And what's really interesting within the Christian realm, the whole argument has been, can you be born gay or can you get married as a gay person? Should gay people be allowed to get married?
Even outside of that, just in wider politics, a lot of what cemented our opinions about a lot of these identities is the idea that people were born a certain way.
Right.
Like that argument is what made people go, oh, okay.
So from a Christian perspective, if you can no longer be gay, if there are only gay thoughts, gay actions, straight thoughts, straight actions, you eliminate completely the issue. Can you be born gay, or can you get married as gay? It's like, I can grab this mic and move it. You're not going to call me a mic mover, like, right? Like, it's an action that I did. Like, Can mic movers be born? Can mic movers get married? It's like, that would be ridiculous. But for some reason, when we talk about heterosexual and homosexual, we make it an identity. We concrete it into us, and then we get hyper offended if anyone says anything about it. So now you have all these people arguing about something that doesn't even exist. Like, it's not even a thing.
So gay people don't exist?
No.
Gay actions and thoughts exist.
I think he just ended the whole conversation. I think he just figured it out. I really feel like he figured it out.
Gay
The
people,
issue is kind of
heterosexual?
like how we play with identity. Like it's our, I won't even call it a choice, but we attach this thing to, and we do it with everything, and we're always innovating on it. Like, you think of somebody who's a cyclist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they can go out there and talk and be like, as a cyclist, and they actually do know a bunch of stuff as a cyclist. If they're an expert at it, they really do know a bunch of stuff about it. But that, even there, like, that identity only goes so far culturally, whereas with sexual identity, like that stuff's important to us as humans. You know what I mean? It's something that's way different than, like, do you like to ride a bike or what kind of food do you like to eat? It's like a really deep thing for us, but it's our choice. Choice is a bad word, but playing with identity.
I was gonna ask, what do you think? Why do you think that is? Why do you think we take something like sexual preference and attribute that to who we are wholeheartedly as our identity, as opposed to like, I like pizza. Does that make me
because
a pizza
we like to
person?
individualize ourselves. Like it's the same thing with racial groups, with classism, male, female. I mean, that's why we do that. We want to stand out. We want to be different.
But it's interesting what we choose, because if you look at the word identity in general, it's about how we're the same.
Right. I
Think about the word like identical.
Yeah.
Right. So we pick these certain ones and say we're different these certain number of ways, but really it's about creating a group within that thing. So if it's sexual identity, we're saying everybody in this identity is the same. And it's weird how we go with like be you, be yourself. Like all that stuff is attached to our identity movements, be your true self.
That's true. So your question.
It's really about being identical.
Right. So your question was, why do we do it? I mean, we all want to feel different, but at the same time, we all want to feel like we're close to someone else.
I guess we all like, you have like people who love anime, people who are into Harry Potter, people who are into sports.
But you can but we all like sort of mix in those bubbles, mix over. You know, even if you take it by race, you know, you can be different races, but have different religions. You can have
different backgrounds.
Yeah, all of those things.
Different occupations.
Yep.
And I think it's important that there are definitely identities that do exist. Like, it's not that all identities are relative. My argument is that sexual orientations as identities are just made up. Like, it's just per person. Now, a lot of people may agree on those. There's, of course, most people agree that you can be gay or straight. But when you actually think about it, it just causes a lot of arguments, and it's super selfish on both accounts. Like,
I don't disagree with them.
Okay.
You keep looking at me. I don't
because every time you say something, you're just like you want to say something. I want to know what you want.
No,
you have to say.
That's what I'm going to say. I don't disagree with them. I mean, he's not saying anything wrong.
I know something you will disagree with him on.
What's that?
So Matt also. You want to talk about it?
Well, I'll see where you go.
So
let's see what headline you draw.
So Matt believes.
Wait a second. I'm guessing you guys will go to the same church.
No.
Okay.
No, not at all.
So Matt also believes that the world is flat and dinosaurs never exist, which is something you keep bringing up.
I don't think people really believe that, though. I don't think anyone who says that actually believes it. I think they're just saying it just for conversation.
Well, I'll definitely have a conversation about it. But I'm not someone that's going to I don't want to, my goal isn't to convince people or to debate with people about it. I think when you look at the evidence, there's just a lot more evidence that is available that leads to the earth is flat.
Well, okay. So whenever I hear someone say that, I always find myself explaining why it's not. But why don't you explain to me why the earth is flat?
Yeah, so I guess if you're looking at something, let's say from a scientific model, it needs to be repeatable, measurable, and observable. Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't feel like we're spinning 1,000 miles per hour flying through space. How fast are we flying through space?
I don't know.
6,666,000 miles per hour at a
I don't think it's
66.6 degree tilt.
That's a lot of sixes.
So, I mean, I just don't feel like we're tilted at 66.6 degrees flying through space at 6,000.
I feel like you're making these numbers up now.
Can we pull it up?
666? Come on now.
The tilt of the earth, angle of the earth.
Come on. That's the omen.
Well, I mean, let's see. Maybe it is.
But see, just by you saying that one sentence, I mean, clearly you don't understand how science works.
Here's.
I mean, no, I'm not trying to be funny, but if you're on a boat, I mean, if you're on a bus and you're driving on the bus, eventually you forget that you're driving 55 miles an hour on a bus. And you do realize that there's no such thing as a tilt in space, right?
It's a tilt relative to what, right?
Right. There's no
100%.
Because we could be spinning upside down, which I think the Earth spins upside down technically, right?
If it's globe, if it's a ball, I'm straight with it. No, it does not affect me whatsoever.
Right.
I think when you look at the creation of NASA, who was part of that, what we've been told, I mean, I work in film, right? So I have projects that nobody cares about. Like maybe I've worked with some small project on my own with 1 or 2 people. I still have a copy of it. But you have NASA who's lost all of the original content from the first moon landing. Like the most important thing that mankind has ever done, there's not an original copy. Ken Trell can show you Billy Graham walking on stage in 1949, but we can't show people walking on the moon except copies of it, right? So, and Dr. Werner van Braun, I believe was his name, Nazi SS member. He was brought here by the U.S.
Most of our space.
Right?
Most of them.
So he works with Walt Disney to create a few films about space at Walt Disney Studios. And then within 1 year later, Eisenhower starts NASA. And who's the number one person helping him? It's this Nazi that's helping him. And I don't know. It's just I've only been told that it's round. Like I can't observe any of that. What I can observe is that it's flat. So that's just kind of where I land.
You say you can observe that it's flat, meaning like the fact that you walk on the flat.
Yeah. So let's say you take a cruise ship out of New York, right? At some point, you should be able to see you should be so far away that New York City disappears, right? If you have, and it does, it like goes over the horizon, and people say it's light reflection.
Well, you can't use words like horizon when you're talking about a flat Earth.
Well, here's the thing. So if it's flat, like you should be able to move so far that
Eventually.
Things disappear, right? But the problem is if you lose sight of it with your eyes, and you grab binoculars, you can still see it. Now, if you keep going and lose sight through the binoculars, if you grab a telescope, you can still see it. So, I mean, unless we're bending vision, like at some point, so it's just little things like that.
So, are you saying that if it, you're saying there's never a way where like you can look through a telescope to see something and it still goes beneath the horizon? You're saying that doesn't happen?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you have the instrument to see, powerful enough, you'll be able to see.
Do you believe in the sun?
Yeah. So I mean,
Okay. Well, here's my next question. That's the biggest object that we know, right? That we can see. So if it's nighttime where you're at, you can't use any binoculars to see the sun.
Oh, unless it goes under the flat Earth.
No, it would have to go completely over the horizon.
Yeah. So what a lot of people don't understand with the flat Earth model is everything is
that we don't understand
is different. So like, and that's at the end of the day, it's not.
Well, at the end of the day, there's no sun. Literally.
So a lot of flat earthers believe the sun and the moon are the same size, that it's not this large object that's super far away.
Well, see, then you can't use terminology like end of the day because your days never end. The sun never goes away.
Well, right. So there's, again, like you can, there's plenty of arguments.
I don't really think there's that many.
Yeah, I mean, I could sit here and keep talking, but what I observed, it seems flat. It makes sense. God made two great lights. And he didn't make a reflective ball.
He's talking about the moon. I'm curious about what the end of the Earth looks like then. If the world is flat,
So
how come no one's gotten to the end? And how do you get to the end? What does it look like?
The flat Earth model would have Antarctica going in a circle around. So there'd be like an ice wall around.
Like Game of Thrones?
Never seen Game of Thrones.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's a good show. You got to watch it.
Okay, so in your model, everything is on like a quarter, like a disc. And then we're surrounded by a wall of Antarctica.
Correct. Yeah, I mean,
the blasphemy. Where does Santa Claus live?
Well, I mean, what's wild would be like, so a lot of it. Think about Christianity, right? Like Christians can be like, and like you Mormons, like you Mormons believe that some guy found a bunch of gold plates, like buried, like that sounds absurd. But then it's like, wait, well, what do Christians believe? And Christians believe that this man walked on water, he died on a cross, and like both stories kind of sound absurd. It's like, which one are you jumping on? The same with space. Like at the end of the day,
but you just named two religions, and then you're talking about science.
Okay, so two models. You have flat Earth or globe. I think both. You can make arguments that both sound. I mean, flying through space that fast, like going around the sun, all based
But
on a
it's
thing
all
called
relative,
gravity that is a theory to this day that has no consistency. There's no natural version of gravity.
I am curious about how you measure the speed of the Earth in a void.
There's a Einstein came up with this like in 1903.
I think you measure it relative to light. I mean, I think you measure the travel. Of
Cairo, think about
everything
this, right? So there's,
how do you explain gravity?
how does anyone, well, gravity's a theory to this day. Like, no, like, it just keeps falling. We'll pull it
Well, I'm not talking about. I mean, yeah, it can't scientifically be explained, but I'm saying, how do you explain the weight that we feel? That when you jump, you come back to the Earth.
Because we're more dense than the air that we're in. Like density and matter exist for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if something is more dense than the atmosphere that it's in, it's going to go down.
So we're flat, but Mars is a circle, right?
There wouldn't be a Mars in the flat Earth model.
But what about when you look in the air and see Mars?
Again, so the people that we're trusting, right?
Uh-huh.
The people that we're saying like there's stars and this and that.
Oh, okay, so have you ever had a telescope and looked in the sky?
Hear me out.
Oh.
I'm with you.
I'm listening.
Within the last 3 years, the Milky Way has been said that it was 100,000 light years away, wide, or 200,000 light years. We've been taught in schools two completely different things that have changed in the last, since 2018, in the last 4 to 5 years. So the very science that you guys are, the Earth is globe, it is for sure because we're told, those people just changed the size of the galaxy by half.
Well, they just said that the galaxy is expanding. Everything's moving.
It went from 200,000 in to 100,000
So you're saying
in
that
the last 4 years.
Are you saying that the fact that we believe in these things because we've been taught something about science throughout our school years, blah, 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 it can change as they, quote unquote, observe things better and get new information? Apparently is what they're saying. But what you're saying is that, like, maybe that isn't even the case. Maybe
here's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is I don't have the desire, the energy, or the care for any of it to matter. Like, I'd much rather, like, if you ask me, like, it feels flat. The people who started this stuff are into some really weird stuff. We know we've been lied to about some other stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't really trust, like, a lot of stuff that we've been given. So for me, I would rather have relationships with people and focus on other things and my energy in other places. If I had to guess, I would say it's flat. If it's round, it doesn't matter.
Bother you.
If it is round, like, we've definitely pick and choose, like, who we're listening to and what information we want to have because it's changing. And it's not consistent, which is gravity, for example, right? We're told that gravity, if you definition of gravity, the size of an object relative to the size of another object, the mass of one object, it's the force between those two objects based on mass. So we're told because of gravity, the sun is so big because of gravity, we orbit the sun. Mm-hmm. But the Earth is so big that we stick to it. Like, gravity isn't consistent with its own definition, which is why it's a theory. All of space is based on this theory that no one can explain. For me, it's
so you understand why we stick to the Earth, right?
Because density and matter, and that's the only thing that's been proven.
Right, but it has its own gravitational force. Like, the Earth is spinning so fast.
That's a theory. The only thing that's been proven.
Okay, but you could also take a funnel and put a marble in it and spin it really fast, and that weight caused the marble to...
On the inside, not on the outside. That's why it's a theory, because there's no natural evidence of something spinning so fast that it sticks to the outside of it. And that's why it's a theory to this day, is because there's nothing that you can observe, repeat, or measure on this Earth that operates like gravity. And that's why it's a theory.
Do specks of dust stick to skyscrapers?
They don't.
Mm.
Something is or whatever example you want to use, something very, very tiny and something very, very big. Does the tiny stuff stick to the big stuff? And I'm not even like, if you ask me, I think the Earth's round. I'm just talking about, like,
no.
What we take for granted is all I'm talking about here.
No, but have you ever seen a tumbler inside of a washing machine? So you see how when it tumbles, how the clothes can stick to the sides of the wall.
But he's
that's
talking
on the
about
inside.
it's sticking on the inside. It's
Well,
like
well, we're inside of our own gravitational field, though.
no, but he's
Then
talking about
We have
like,
an atmosphere.
Well, it's not debated that gravity is a theory. So like if
Well,
you
yeah, I
figured
understand
out
that.
gravity on Earth, then you know more than every scientist because it's a
Yeah,
theory.
I know. They say if you figure out gravity, you can create like shields and
Yeah, and
like,
it's no one. It's just an idea
You can
that
control the
operates
universe, right?
different depending on where it's at. And for me, it's just like, it's like the gay thing. Like I don't want to talk about can you be born gay. That's like saying can you be born a unicorn. Like I just don't have time for it. Like I don't think you can be gay. If someone wants to be like, man, I love sucking penis, I'm gay. It's like, dude, you can be gay all day. I just don't think you. I think you can do gay and think gay. I think it's flat, but yeah, if it's a globe, and that's cool. I'm okay with that.
have you ever been on an airplane?
I have, yeah.
How did that work for you? How's that experience?
What do you mean?
You know, being able to see the sky and,
Yeah, so I mean, again,
and over clouds.
that's a thing that flat earthers enjoy pointing out. If you look at a flat Earth model, your flight paths are always on a flat Earth model, never a globe model. So we'll consistently take.
So where'd you fly?
So you can take my trips to Papua New Guinea, to Australia, to Thailand, to
Perfect.
Africa.
So in the flat Earth theory, is the Earth spinning like sideways, like horizontally? Is the Earth
Doesn't
spinning?
spin.
It
Is
doesn't
rotating like?
Doesn't
It
spin.
doesn't.
Oh, it just sits there. So how do
Well-
you explain like daylight savings time
Well-
in different time regions? Like if you're flying one way, why does it take you longer to fly to Vegas than it does to fly to like, New York?
that does
That has
well, I
nothing to
think-
do with
Like,
yeah.
well, yeah, we fly against the turn of the Earth to get places faster.
I guess I'm talking about the route. So like if I'm going to Kenya, you're going to fly up the U.S. You're not going to go across the ocean. You're going to go up the U.S.
So what
into
happens when you look
Canada,
out the
into
window and see the
Europe.
ocean?
Do what?
What happens when you look out the window and see the ocean?
You do fly over the ocean up by Europe and the north part of the U.S. I mean, yeah, you at some point fly over this, but I mean, you can watch the map on the airplane. They give you the routes.
So how deep does the water go, and what's at the bottom of the water?
Again, it doesn't matter to me. Like I don't
No, I mean I want to know, like, do you ever question those things?
think it matters. No.
I think one of my questions is like,
What happens if you drop a lightsaber? I mean, what is that? Where does it go?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just curious about in the flat world model, what does the Earth exist in? Like, is it still a void, like space?
Yeah, I'm not sure. There's a lot of a lot of ideas of what that could look like.
It's a snow globe.
I don't want to cut this short, but we are pressed for time, and I really want to get to something that you have going on, right?
I like this guy. What's your name again? Mark?
Matt.
Matt? I like this man.
So
You're completely wrong, bud.
And it's totally fine. What's funny is if it's round or not.
it doesn't
Yeah,
matter,
it
right?
just doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't change anything.
It bothers me that he says that because I want it to matter to him.
So, who recently you had like a tweet that went kind of viral, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what it said?
Please be racist.
He said, "Please be racist."
No, I wrote a tweet about, I'm a photographer by profession, and I saw headlines coming out. Well, I saw a viral tweet from another user on Twitter that kind of broke the whole story about the Balenciaga photo campaigns. And
Do you know about that, Cairo?
Yeah, they're like trafficking kids and stuff.
Well, no, that's the yeah. Basically, they did a photo shoot for a couple of new releases for the winter of this year, and in those photo shoots, in one of them, they basically, I mean, they had kids that were toddlers that were in a picture, like in the frame, in the image with what you could say were
BDSM stuff.
they're like plush toys that are fashioned in
There's a
BDSM
image right there.
gear, so like leather chest harnesses, and there's other features to the toys that, I mean, you could really, and people have at this point, kind of dove way in on
Mm-hmm.
potential.
What are you saying?
meaning.
BDSM?
BDSM.
So, like,
Where have I heard that before?
It's a sexual, like a
Oh yeah, like
fetish term.
Pornhub. It's something.
fetish term.
Rihanna, right?
Oh, yeah, that's when they have
it's all
the apple.
all the bondage and
Right.
heavy lending.
Did you say the
You
apple?
said Apple?
Yeah, it's an apple, right? And
Could
the,
be.
they wear the strap with the apple.
Probably.
You
some
mean
of them.
the gag?
Could be, man.
Oh, I always thought it was an apple.
Could be. But I basically just wrote a thread. Well, I originally just wrote a tweet from a photographer's perspective, saying like, "Hey, photographers, like if you walk into a set," and I had an image with it, and it was basically an image of a toddler laying on a couch with this bear behind them, wearing a leather chest harness. The bear's got 3 eyes.
What color was the couch?
Not that I think anybody.
What
I wanna
does
say the
that
couch was
matter?
white.
Yeah, if it's a black leather couch,
But basically,
this guy.
I said, like,
This
for
guy.
photographers, if you walk into a situation like that, like, just leave.
Yeah, I mean,
that was the point of the tweet I wrote, and it ended up kind of doing well online.
did a lot of noticeable people say anything
Did
about
Kanye
it?
West like it?
Yeah, no. Kanye West, no, he didn't like it. He seems to still be, well, it's complicated with him. I was going to say he seems to still be fine with Balenciaga, but that's not really true. He doesn't want people to judge them for it, I guess.
Really?
No, I thought they let him. I think it was Kim who's okay with it.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. Kanye had just parted ways with Balenciaga, and the
If
same
that's what you want to call it. Yeah.
the same images that you were showing where the person had the bear like down by their leg. That's from a fashion show. That's from Paris Fashion Week last year, and Kanye was actually a model in that same fashion show.
So, Matt, I heard something. I don't know 100% about it, but I saw someone did a deep dive on one of the people who were involved or something, and how she had like a lot of photographs of like like there was one picture of like a toddler topless and just like in like a seductive pose, right? And then
She has a history of being interested in aesthetics that play with age-appropriate behavior and age-appropriate play for children, you could say.
that's weird. And there was another thing too. I think a document that was in one of the photo shoots.
Yeah, so there were actually 2 different photo shoots. I actually had 2 different tweets that kind of both were doing different things. But yeah, there was another photo shoot. It's a still life photo, looking down at a desk, and there's a black and white
Careful.
purse.
Careful with my search engine.
There's a black and white purse sitting on this desk, and basically under the purse is a stack of papers, and the papers that are under the purse are from
Isn't it
some type of legal conversation, like a precedent history legal document about discussing child pornography and what constitutes child pornography, which is as we move into a digital age, is going to become a very interesting conversation.
I think it was something about like a Supreme Court case about
I didn't even think about that.
about child pornography being.
It was U.S. versus something. I can't remember what the name of the case that was actually in the photo. But the thing is,
I have no idea.
the thing is, from a photographer's perspective, and Matt could tell you this, like, the better a photographer is, and the more serious a photo is, or the more serious a production is, the more money is behind a production. Nothing is in that frame by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. So at the very least, you can say that someone put those there specifically. Because if those were there by accident,
I agree.
everybody there is terrible at their job, if that's true.
I agree.
And I have enough respect, even if I don't agree with what these people produced, I have enough respect to know, like, those people are paid because they know how to do what they're supposed to be doing, you know? Like, nothing makes it in that frame by accident.
I do think it's weird that people could say that it's a coincidence when you have all these different things lined up. 1, the document. 2, the kid and the bear being weird.
Jeffrey
and then,
Epstein. And Flat Earth, don't forget. It's all a conspiracy.
Maybe.
maybe they're tied together.
Very possible.
But the third thing is like you have people that's involved with the camp that on the ads that has a history of this kind of stuff, and then you kind of like gloss over it, say, "Oh, it's a mistake." It's weird to say it's a mistake. Like, what is it? 1 is a mistake, or 2 is a consequence, 3 is.
And that's what's kind of significant is that this, when this story broke, both of those photo shoots were lumped together as a single thing. So it was like, here's these kids with the bears, here's this other thing on the desk. And it was all just kind of lumped together, but actually they were completely different photo shoots. And the reason that's significant is because it represents a pattern as opposed to just one production team messing up one time. This was different production teams, different producers, directors, different photographers, completely, totally different product campaigns.
Didn't Balenciaga say that, it was not our fault, it was the people we hired to do it?
They're trying to push blame off on the production houses and the agencies and stuff, but there's actually another photo so it's worth noting that the image that had the child porn legal discussion involved in the photo, that's actually a Balenciaga Adidas collaboration. Adidas has gotten
the Nazis and the rapists are together.
Adidas has gotten right. Adidas has gotten no heat, and that was the point of I wrote a separate thread about Adidas, and the intention was to say hey, as far as goodwill in the markets in the U.S., as far as the amount of consumer revenue done, Adidas is huge. If we want to talk about taking note of who's involved, nobody buys Balenciaga.
The common man.
Lots of people buy Balenciaga, but nobody buys Balenciaga.
You know what, though,
right? Compared to something like Adidas,
right.
how many people in this room right now are wearing Adidas? Maybe it's just me.
No, I got Adidas bag in my car.
While I'm sitting here telling you how terrible they are.
Balenciaga, people who have a lot of money buy them, right? And it kind of fits the narrative of elitist people do these weird kind of things, so they might be okay.
Isn't it crazy how Kanye
Epstein.
No, I mean, in Kanye. I mean, isn't it weird how, right after everyone let go of Kanye, all this stuff comes out?
Are you saying Kanye's right?
I never said he was wrong.
Hot take.
Yeah.
So if you look on what you have pulled up on the screen right there, that very top left image, that model right there, her name is Isabel Huppert or something like that. And I by combining, I looked at this photo and the other main photo, which you can barely find on the internet anymore. Not her, that photo on the left right there. So if you were able to reference the other photo that actually shows the papers, the hand on the left side of the frame, which is her right hand, is on the papers. Right?
So kind of pointing it out, if you will.
Yeah, you made a good point. Anything that's done like that is done strategically.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy that shot that other photo that I'm talking about, his whole body of work is doing still life, is arranging things very specifically in a frame
Matt,
to make you buy them.
I've worked with you doing video and photos where you are always saying, "I need you to tilt your hand this way. I need you to."
Yeah, I mean, it's all very strategic and important.
So it's odd to say it's a mistake when you have a girl putting her hand on the document and the document being in the first place, and then there being BDSM kind of stuff.
And even if you just want to talk about complicity, do you think she never looked down at where she was putting her hand? You know what I mean?
It sucks because
she's huge. She's from another country, but she's huge in her country.
It sucks to hear about this stuff because you have we talked about this before, a group called MAPS. You know what that is? Yeah. This is something they eat up.
You're too kind, in my opinion.
MAPS. Yeah. What would you call it?
Pedophiles.
I mean, it's a rebranding of
Groomers is a newer. Well, maybe we shouldn't go there.
I mean, I think once you talk about the flat earth, you can say whatever you want.
It's a rebranding of what a pedophile is, right? It's we want to be able.
There's a trend to medicalize everything, just in general. All of our social problems, medicalize them, and the MAPS thing is an example of that, where we're.
And what was that again? Because when we first talked about this a while ago.
Minor attracted person.
Right, they're trying to make it seem like, this is a.
They're calling what I would call a sexual fetish, sexual excess.
Right.
A perversion. They're creating a medical term for it, which allows us to say
he's sick. He's not a sick person.
It takes the conversation from this should not exist in our society to where and how should this exist in our society. When we turned it into this medical thing, it's how can we accommodate
So I'm gonna
this?
play devil's advocate. I want to say this because of what you brought up to start the conversation. If someone identifies that way, isn't that the same as just saying, oh well?
So
Well,
what you're
yes.
saying is they aren't maps; they are doing maps.
No. So
No, but really though,
I think you have to work it out with each identity, right? So what I was talking about at the beginning is sexual orientations. So that doesn't mean that if you there are plenty of identities that are real, that are objective, that we all agree on. Well, for me, it's when we can't agree. And homosexuality, heterosexuality, when you actually ask people to define it, there's not a common definition. I would, right now, there's a common definition of a pedophile, but what is scary is that definition is definitely
Those lines get
broadening up.
blurred, right?
Right. So it does become scary, but I don't think that you can only do or think to all identities. I was specifically talking sexual orientations.
Maps is on sexual orientation.
I don't think that would be a sexual orientation, right? Pedophile.
I mean,
it is interesting though, because I get into, I have a lot of conversations about identity generally, and when you talk to I talk to gay people sometimes about what it means. Can I
I thought you guys were gonna do the thing.
Because think about like how much stigma is on this topic, right?
Yeah, stigma.
Like it's liberation, and yet when I say gay, we start laughing because we're like not supposed to talk about it.
It's weird, isn't it?
No,
It's like a
it's because-
sexual
yeah,
revolution, right?
And I talk to people about all kinds of identity stuff, and if I certainly haven't talked to every gay person, but the gay people that I talk to.
Why do you keep laughing when he says stuff?
I'm laughing because I'm sitting here saying gay people don't exist. So I don't hear when I talk to gay people. It's like when I talk to people who say they're gay.
Right. But there is no consistent definition. You want to hear? I was talking to somebody about it the other day, and they gave me a definition I had never heard before. They said that a gay man is a homocathected man.
What?
And the meaning of, and this was a gay person telling me this, and lots of people liked it, lots of people agreed, lots of people were like, oh, I've never heard that word before. That's really interesting. I like that.
Say it again.
Well, the word is cathexis, and it's related to attraction, but it's more like if I got a brand new car and I love it, like I'm cathected toward that car. So it's a more generalized type of affection.
It's not like a romantic or sexual attraction.
It's a more generalized type of affection that you could, like I could feel this affection toward you or anybody, or toward
I think I have that
the picture on
sometimes.
the wall, or
Kyle, you ever have any cathex with people?
And so, just to be clear, and
Cathex?
just to go back to how this started, this is not a term I use. I asked a gay person to define what being gay meant, and they defined it as either being homocathected or heterocathected, right? And everyone that read it was like, huh, I've never heard that before. But I like it, and now I'm going to use it as part of my definition, right? And the whole point is to say that there's not a definition for it. Like, I think, I would say, like, that identity is a mix of behavior, social roles, mostly behavior and social roles. We can talk about attraction, but when you say you like something, like, what do you mean?
I got you.
What do you mean?
That's a good point. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So
we
gotta.
get out there into words that nobody knows what we don't.
So,
All right, we didn't get into pronouns this week.
oh man, listen. Okay, so we gotta have y'all back one day. But really quick, I just want to give a shout out to No More Pie. This is a studio. We're in a studio now, so if you haven't noticed, we're in a different place. And I think this is where we're going to be doing our podcast from now on. We're short on time today, so we got to cut the conversation short. But I do want to keep going eventually, and have you guys back.
Yeah, definitely.
But this is fun though. And next time
Yeah, we gotta do a whole.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. And we normally like get into jokes and just start talking. This was kind of a more serious topics besides flat Earth. But
Yeah, we normally have stuff written down and ready to go. So
Yeah.
next time.
But yeah, we
Sure.
appreciate and also appreciate all the help you guys gave and everything.
Oh yeah.
But
Appreciate you having us.
yeah, man, we have you guys back one time.
Yeah, that was fun.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.